Hey everyone, today's video is just me talking through some of the tips and information during my trip from Seattle to Manila via EVA Airlines, and then just some excursion information that I did. I'm sorry, I don't really have any footage for much of the things that I'm going to talk about because I just wanted to enjoy my vacation, but I also wanted to share my experience as well. So I took a flight from Seattle to Manila and flying EVA Airlines. Now, the check-in counter at SeaTac doesn't open until 4 hours before check-in or before departure. Now, I actually got there 4.5 hours early just because of my ride situation. That's how early I needed to be there. And I thought I was going to be super early, but when I got there, there was probably at least 10 other families already in line. So I do recommend going early if you have bags to check in because the line does get pretty long. Now, I was really worried about weighing my bags because I did do a check-in, but I also wanted to do a carry-on. So I had a roller carry-on size and I had a backpack that was pretty full. It definitely looked pretty big, but my roller did get weighed and my backpack did not. So I know people have asked, whether or not the airlines weigh. So I think it's a hit or miss really. For this flight, definitely they weigh. I was watching and they weighed everybody's carry-on. If it was a backpack, they didn't weigh it at all. Now, on the flight, they served 2 meals. I flew economy, so that sucked. But they were on time, the flight was, okay. It was an older plane, so that also sucked as well. Now, arriving in Manila, it was so easy. I don't know if it was the time I arrived. I arrived around 11 a.m. I've arrived at that time in the past and it's been kind of busy, but it was not busy at all. When I went through immigration customs, they didn't ask me for the QR code. So I did the e-travel. It's like a new app that the Philippines has for anybody arriving into the Philippines. And I didn't get asked to show it at all. So that was interesting. And I didn't get asked any questions really. So it was nice that it was an easy process. After I got my bags, I was a little bit worried because I did have 2 huge boxes full of pasalubong, so gifts for family. And I didn't know if that was gonna be an issue because I had like tons of chocolates and just like little things like little toys and things to give to family members. But again, my bags were easy to get. I didn't get checked. There was like a little security line going out of the baggage area, but they were just randomly checking people, like having them put their bags through this security x-ray thing. But if there was like a lot of people walking through that exit, they didn't check anybody. So again, hit or miss on what that experience would be for you, but that was my experience. Now, as soon as you walk out of the baggage claim, there is the currency exchange and you can get a SIM card as well, or they have pocket Wi-Fi's that you could do as well. Now, that really is it as far as my airport information. I wanted to talk a little bit about some excursions that I did. I only did 2 actually. I did also go to Bohol, which I will do a separate video and I'll link it here in the description. But one that we did, which was amazing that I haven't done before when I've gone to the Philippines, is Pagsanjan Falls, which is about like 1.5 to 2 hours outside of Manila, like in Laguna, and it was amazing. So the cost is about, where I got my coats was 1550 pesos, which at the time the exchange rate at the airport was 55 pesos to $1. So it was about $28 per person. If you wanted to be picked up and dropped off because you didn't have a ride, then there are companies that would do that as well, and that was about 25.99 pesos. and they would pick you up directly from your hotel or wherever you're staying and then drop you off as well. Now, the excursion itself, now we drove out there. My mom lives out there, so she was able to drive us, and we actually just saw a sign that said Pagsanjan Falls. We followed it, took us to a dead end. But there was a guy on a bike who was like, oh yeah, this entrance is closed. Follow me and I'll take you to the loading or the landing dock or wherever it is that they have their tours. And so we followed him to a dock and they were able to take us on the tour. Now I did notice on the tour there were other stops where people were getting on these canoes or bancas, and so there might be other places along where you can go ahead and catch this excursion. I know there's a hotel called Casa Marina where you could stay, or you could actually go to them to be able to go on the excursion as well. The excursion itself was really great. So these canoes, they hold 1 to 3 people, and then in the front of the boat and then the back of the boat you have somebody that is, I guess, I don't want to say driving, but maneuvering the canoe. And the canoe goes down a river, and as you go down this quiet river, it then gets really rocky, and these two have to pull the canoes upriver so that you can get to the actual falls. Now, that whole experience in itself was amazing. Like, to see how hard these guys work was crazy, and I'll put in a clip. But it was just amazing to see. The scenery was so beautiful. It just was a relaxing ride. And then once you got to the falls, you had the option to like get out. You could like swim in that area. But they also, for an additional charge, and I believe if I recall correctly, was 150 pesos per person, you could get on like this wooden flat raft, and they would pull you, that raft full of people, into a cave that's behind the falls. So that was kind of fun as well. And then of course, you know, I will say they were not shy to ask for tips to be able to do that. So I would plan on paying for that, as well as tipping the folks that are pulling you into the waterfall. On the way back, of course, we're going downriver now, so that was much easier for the two boatmen to maneuver us back. But again, they just work so hard that we ended up tipping them really well, because it's just such hard work for them, and I know they don't make much to begin with, and really just appreciated the experience. When we got back, you do have the option, at least at the place I went to get lunch, so that you could order it before you got on the boat, so that when you got back, then your lunch was ready. I personally didn't like the lunch. I wish that we would have actually just drove in somewhere in Laguna and just gotten lunch at like a proper restaurant somewhere that would have really good food, because the prices also were not that great. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. Now, but the whole excursion itself, definitely recommend. It's an experience. I highly recommend trying it. It's inexpensive, and I just don't think you can experience that anywhere else. So here's a quick clip of the excursion. I do have another video of more footage, so I'll put that in the description if you want to watch more footage of this excursion itself. Villa Escudero. Now I went there as well. That was my second time going. I will say my second time around, it's not really worth going 2 times. But we had some people who had never been to the Philippines, and so we just, you know, wanted a day excursion. It is a good all-day excursion. It's 1,800 pesos, I think, on a regular day, and then 2,100 pesos if it's like a special holiday or whatnot. But there's a, you know, it's kind of like a place where you just go there for the day. They have like this museum that you can walk through with a lot of artifacts in there. That's pretty interesting. And then they have a pool that you can use. They have little rafts or like wooden canoes that you can take out and just you know, paddle around. And then they have a show that you can watch. It's about an hour long, but it's pretty interesting. And also they have a lunch that they provide. It's a buffet lunch next to a man-made waterfall. So it's nothing spectacular. People talk about it, but it looks silly. It's just like this water that's coming down through like some sprays and making a waterfall, and your feet are in the water. So the one thing about that is the buffet lines get crazy. And so last time we went, we stood through those lines, but this time we went, somebody came up to us, one of the servers, and asked if, you know, we wanted him to get our food, which was the best thing we did. We just sat down and he got, you know, a little bit of everything, and then if we wanted more, he would go back and get more. Of course, that was an expected tip. At least I think it was an expected tip, and we did tip because it was a lot of work for this person to go and, you know, serve. There was 6 of us, so again, it was well worth tipping to be able to get that service and not have to stand in a line. So that's really it. Again, I did go to Bohol. I do have footage from there, not a ton, but I do have some, so hopefully you'll check that out too. I think Bohol is a really beautiful place and worth visiting as well. And if you have any questions about the airlines, about any of the 2 excursions, the airport, whatever, just put a comment in the, or put a question, your question in the comments, and I'll get to it and answer you. I hope this helps. Thanks. Bye.